Hello everyone, myself Anil. Today I am here to talk about the weak entity types, refining the ER design for the company database and the ER diagrams, naming conventions and the design issues, which is a topic of database management system and the subject code is BCS 403. Understanding the weak entity types. Weak entity types are the conceptual entities that cannot be unequal identified by their own attributes. They rely on a relationship with the strong entity to form a unique identifier. Understanding a weak entity is a crucial in designing robust and database scheme. As you can see the picture of the understanding the weak entities type. Identifying the weak entities in the company database. Dependent entities, project assignments, and analyzing relationships. These are the weak entities in the company database. Dependent entities. In the company database, employee dependents are a weak entity type as that they cannot be unequal identified without being associated with an employee. Project assignments. Project assignments are also a weak entity as they require a relationship with both the employee and project to be fulfilled identified. Analyzing the relationships. Carefully examining the relationship between the entities is the key to identify the weakness entity type in the database scheme. Defining the ER design for the company database. Here, the identifying the dependency, representing the weak entities, validating the design. These are the refining the ER design for the company database, identifying the dependencies, review the entities and relationship to determine which one are dependent on the other to form a unique identifier. And second one is representing a weak entities. Weak entities should be modeled with a double-lined rectangle and the relationship to be strong entity should be clearly defined. Third one is validating the design. Carefully review the ER diagram to ensure all weak entity types are properly represented and connected to their parent entities. As you can see the ER design diagram of the company database. Importance of ER diagrams in database design. First one is visualize the entities and relationships, identify the weak entities, validate design decisions, and facilitate the maintenance. Visualize the entity and relationship. ER diagram provides a clear visual representation of the database scheme, making it easier to understand and communicate. Identify the weak entities. The ER diagram is crucial for identifying the weak entity types and their dependencies on strong entities. Validate the design decisions. By reviewing the ER diagrams, you can identify and address any issues in the database design. Facilitate maintenance. The ER diagrams serve as a reference for the future modification of enhancement of the database schema. Naming conventions for entities, attributes, and relationships. Entity names. Use the singular descriptive nouns that are clearly represents the entity. For example, employee, project, depend, like that. Attribute names. Use the descriptive names that convey the meaning of the attribute. For example, employee ID, project name, dependent age, like relationship name. Describe the relationship between the entities using the verb phrase. For example, the assigned to, dependent of, consistent and clarity. Maintain the consistent naming conversations throughout the database schema to enhance the understanding and maintainability. Addressing the design issues in the company database, redundant data, unclear relationship, weak entity representation. These are the addressing design issues in the company database. Examine the database schema for duplicate or unnecessary data storage and consider the normalization strategies to eliminate the redundancy. Unclear relationship ensures that the relationship between the entities are well defined and accurately represent the business requirements. Weak entity representation verifies that all the weak entity types are properly identified and connected to the parent strong entities. Strategies for improving the ER diagram. There are four strategies: review requirement, normalize the data, refining the relationship, and validate the design. First one, review requirement. Revisit the business requirements and use the cases to ensure the database design accurately reflects the need of organization. Second one is normalize data. Apply the normalization technique to eliminate data redundancy and improve the data integrity. And third one is refine relationship. Carefully examine the relationship between the entities and make any necessary adjustment to ensure that they are accurately represented. And the last strategy of improving the ER diagram is validate the design. Through truly reviewing the ER diagram to identify and address any remaining design issue or inconsistencies. Conclusion and key takeaway. Weak entities, ER diagrams, naming conventions, and ongoing refinements. These are the four conclusions and key to take away. Weak entities. Understand the role of weak entity types in the database design and how to properly represent them in the ER diagram. ER diagram. ER diagram recognize the importance of ER diagrams in the visualizing the database schemas and validating the design decisions. Naming conventions. Establish and consistent naming conventions for entities, attributes, and relationships. Ongoing refinements. Continuously review and optimize the database design to address any issues or evolving requirements. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.